Hi,
Hello,
Haley.
Brian.
How
How
are
are you
you?
today? We're
I'm
just in a
doing,
mirror.
yeah. I'm doing great. I'm, think I, you've heard me say more than once, I'm working on my memoir, and it's a fascinating process of, uh, of discerning what events in your life contributed to who you are today. And uh, that's just magical in so many ways because I hadn't really dug deep enough to know. I've been
Oh,
telling my story for years and years and years and years. And it sounds like it was all wrapped up in a ribbon and tied, but there's so much more to it.
yeah.
I'm just
How far along are you with your memoir now?
actually, Haley, I've got about 60,000 words.
Wow.
Yeah, I looked up how many words are supposed to be in a memoir. You know, I love the internet. It tells you everything you
I
need to know.
know.
And it said anywhere between 60 and 100,000. So I thought, all right, I'm
Keep
getting there.
going.
Yep,
And you can
yep.
have multiple volumes too.
Ha, I didn't know that, but I, I, I won't go. I only have a couple more stories that I want to tell, and then I
And
want to send it to some friends and have them look at it and give me feedback as to what value they think it has.
how do you discern between what makes the book and what you consider sort of a contribution to your life versus what sort of gets not thrown away, but kind of like maybe the next book?
I don't consider a next book coming, and I tell some pretty outrageous things about myself in this book. And my friends may say, "Do not put that in there," you know, but I'm doing it. I because I feel like if this is a memoir of my life, my memory of it, what are the things that happened? Not just spectacularly good, but also, oh, are you really going to say that? Are you going to
Mm-hmm.
tell them that you did that?
The
They're not.
truth.
They're not going to think as highly of you,
I
and that's
know.
exactly why you do it. That's exactly why you do it, because otherwise, what you're doing is building a shrine.
You
And
know, it's a very fine line too, because I think we always talk about like wanting to be authentic and be in integrity with ourselves. And we sort of wake up in the morning and that's the first thing we sort of focus on is how can I be the best version of me? And the best version of you is telling the truth of who you are and accepting who you are and who you are not. And these
yes,
wonderful stories are part of exactly who you are and also who you are not.
yes, yeah. There's stories that I didn't tell my corporate audiences, uh, and I actually didn't think they might be relevant, but they sure are relevant to uh, this storyline that I have of, like where do I belong? And is Catholic and gay in opposition, and is spirituality and sexuality in opposition to each other, or can they be
Mm,
integrated? And the integration of them, for me, is the story of my life.
yeah,
So,
true.
how about you? What are you up to?
It's very interesting that you're dealing with that because I'm kind of dealing with it a little bit on my side and really kind of making a conscious decision to be in the truth no matter what. And for me, I see that as I'm taking care of myself, I'm taking responsibility of myself, and this is me. If
Hmm.
you want to walk away, walk away. If you want to stay, you can stay. But really prioritizing my story, my authenticity. And it comes up with age a lot for me because I look and behave younger than I am. So most people don't even consider that I'm as old as I am.
Hmm.
And then when I'm like, when it comes to that question, so how old are you? I'm always like, brace yourself.
Uh-huh.
And for me, it has been sort of a like, oh my God, like maybe I betrayed them because they're so shocked now. And it's not that I purposely betrayed them and said I was going to lie about my age. It's just their shock when they hear my real age also
Right.
kind of puts me back. And I'm like, wait a minute, did I mess up here? Did I maybe mislead? So now I'm
No,
doing it very much in the space of you're shocked, you're shocked.
those were their assumptions. That you didn't say. In fact, remind me, how old are you?
I'm 44. And most people
Oh,
think I'm about 35.
okay, so that's because you have this young, innocent, loving spirit. But if people, I love and embrace this idea of being totally honest. You know,
Absolutely.
I don't want to go to my grave feeling that I hid something. I hid it from Ray. I hid it from myself. I hid it from the people I love or who love me. Uh, I want my life to, I want to die knowing that I was as authentic as I could
Yeah.
be.
And I think in that authenticity, you know, we're not all angels. We're not always on point. Sometimes we're a demon. And
Yeah.
sometimes we struggle between trying to figure out today is the demon, am I going to be the demon or the angel today?
And sometimes when I've been writing Hayley, I, I, I don't even know what I was at the time. I feel like I sort of drifted away from my spiritual quest and just got so totally absorbed by my emotions that that's all I could think about
Mm.
were my emotions. Too intense, far too intense. Um, so sometimes I agree with you. Sometimes, you know, the angel comes out, which is what I love. Sometimes the devil comes out, which I don't like to feed. And then sometimes when I think back, I wonder, well, where were you then? I mean, where were you, guardian angel? Where were you, Jesus?
You know, I think at those points that's where we have sort of the crisis of faith, where we no
Mm-hmm.
longer believe that they're actually helping us. We're like, well, fine, I'm just going to do this by myself.
Mm-hmm.
Um, because, and you know, the emotions are such a big part of that because I realize that as I mature and really step into wisdom, I'm far more forgiving of my emotions. I'm far more forgiving and accepting of the kind of emotions that put you in the frenzy. And in that acceptance, it feels like I'm less in those emotions, if that makes
Mm-hmm.
sense.
Yes, you've taken I mean, the kettle is still boiling, but you've taken it off the burner.
Yes, perfect analogy.
Yeah.
Perfect.
It's still hot water, but you're not letting it whistle.
It's not as, you know, reactive and chaotic. It's
Yeah.
more like this is happening. I'm just going to sit until it passes.
Yeah. Yeah. And try to learn what the lesson is.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
find that the hardest things in my life were the things from which I drew the greatest lessons.
You know, I think that's the paradox of life
Yeah.
is that, you know, we only learn, we only grow in the stretch zone. And the stretch zone is not comfortable.
Pima Chodron talked about that, didn't she, when she said, run to the things that scare you. Don't
Mm-hmm.
run away, run to them, because that's where you're going to learn.
You know, and that's also too where the greatest beauty is because we need that. There was this, I'm trying to think who wrote this. It might have been a Rumi poem that, or maybe Shams Tabriz, where, you know, in the greatest friction is the greatest beauty.
Mm.
And when we think about sort of the Big Bang and sort of the chaos theory that we all exploded out of this thing that we don't know what that thing is, you know, that explosion created beauty, but it wasn't a lovely thing. It's not like it was ice cream and sprinkles.
Right. You wouldn't have wanted to sit there and watch it
No.
happen.
And like we tend to like be thankful that we don't remember that Big Bang.
Right, right.
Probably
Yeah, yeah.
wasn't like the most comfortable experience.
Even if, yeah, just like if we're migrating souls, we just as soon not remember being eaten by a dinosaur.
Yeah. Like we have to be thankful that we don't have all of these memories.
Yeah,
And we have,
yeah.
you know, when you look at writing a book and writing a memoir and also sort of the life review of the movie, a lot of it is just reminding ourselves to, yes, let's focus on the good memories, but also look at, as you were saying, those memories that weren't great, but they definitely propelled life.
And I think as we age, our our perspective on what happened changes,
Mm,
right?
more
That
information.
it may be a bad memory, until we pull it out and think, okay, so what else was going on at this time? It's a bad memory because why? And did that person do the best they could in that situation when I felt hurt? And they may not have known that, right?
And for me too, in those situations, there's always music. There's always these other little capsules that hold the memory. So, if I look back at moments that were really tough on me, I listen to music all the time. So there's definitely some kind of music that went with that of time.
Yep.
And sometimes it's really hard to listen to that music again because it completely evokes those memories.
Yes.
And being able to allow that time, being able to allow sort of the widening of perspective and the receiving of more information, I see that I'm able to start listening to that music again without tying it to that time, if that makes sense.
It doesn't trigger the same
Yeah.
response. Yeah. So Hayley, before we started taping, you said that this is a big moment of opening to the other realm, that there's crossing overs going on.
Yeah, so I call it death windows, where there are these moments in time where it seems like a lot of people are crossing over. There's a lot of death. And it's, for me, from what I work with and what I see in the people around me, everybody is not everybody, but the majority of my people are experiencing a death, whether it be a family member or a friend. And, I do see them in chunks, like death windows open, and then there's almost like this exodus of people leaving and sort of people dealing with what that is.
Hayley, does that also mean in your mind that there might be migration in the other direction, that those who have passed on are visiting in a way?
I don't think that they're visiting. I think that they're always here.
Yeah.
I think that let me use better language. It's not necessarily thinking, it's what I know and what I experience in my world, is that there's never really any visiting because they're always here. They're just in a different form. And I think if you can be curious enough to ask that question, well, what is that different form? And are they still here? If they're still here, how do we communicate? We open ourselves up into experiencing energy in different ways versus just the human body. And so I don't see this as sort of the Earth planet and humans being in a vacuum and sort of having these massive castle walls around us and a boundary that nobody can come back and visit, or once you're in the castle, you can't go back out. Right. For me, it's very transparent, it's very translucent, and part of the beauty and part of being present is being able to stretch your sight so you can see the non-obvious, so you can feel it.
Ray brought me a folder. I've been a pretty good collector of letters, and the crazy drawings that nieces and nephews sent you with crayon. I've kept, most of those. And Ray handed me the folder the other night of letters from my mother. And boy, did that bring back a rush of feelings and a longing. There was a great picture that I had never seen of my mom that I remember. And then these wonderful, long, loving, informative letters that I didn't remember her writing. It's been a delight. It's like a dark chocolate milkshake.
And I think we have to be perhaps normalize. The use of that word is so trendy now. Normalize that longing doesn't just go with death. It goes with life too. And we can long for people even if they're still in the physical human form, just as much as we long for people that are no longer in the human physical form.
Yep. This morning while I was out in the garden, I knew that a friend might be calling, and the phone rang, and I sat down and we talked for probably 40 minutes. And I wrote him back and I said, I didn't realize how much I missed you until we talked,
I
you know,
know,
because
like the
I,
voice.
yeah, I adore the man and I adore the way he thinks. And we get into this dance together, you know, because we have the same energy. And I thought, wow, that's a treat, you know, that somebody in your life comes back into it for a moment and kind of puts more kindling on the fire, right?
Really just like spark, everything starts sparking again.
Yes, yeah. It was lovely. It was really a nice experience. You also mentioned to me, Hayley, before we began that when I said, so Hayley, what do you want to talk about? You said death and age.
Mm.
What about age?
I've been I've been sitting with age, similar to what I was talking about. Sort of, I'm always met with this wall of shock when people hear what my age is versus what they think. And I do tend to have a very wide array of friends. Like one of my very best friends is 26. One of my oldest friends is 78.
Mm-hmm.
So there's no, like, I have a wide array of
Yes.
friends. And, you know, I was thinking with it and I was like, this thing that we put on age. And why? Because it's not okay for us to say, I don't want to be friends with somebody, or it's not appropriate for me to be friends with somebody because they're black or they're white or they're gay or they're straight. But when it comes to age, we're still completely comfortable with that.
Of
Still
being with
very
them?
comfortable with using age as a stereotypical excuse
To not be with people.
to not be with people or to be with people.
Yeah.
They're like, I should hang out with this person because they're my age, versus I'm not going to hang out with this person. I have a lot of fun with them, but they're not really my age. So
Yeah. It's never mattered to me. I think, you know, when we take a look at a child that we call an old soul, often it's because that child prefers the company of adults. You know, they prefer adult conversation, and they feel more comfortable with adults than they do with their peers. So from an early age, we can be with both our peers, but with older people, and have different experiences with them both, right? I, like you, have friends all over the spectrum of age. I don't have an awful lot of people who are older than me, but I have, uh, you know, a lot of people who are younger, and some are dying, as you said. I mean, I just got notification that somebody had died, and was totally shocked by it and saddened. But I love the age mix. You know,
what
I
about
don't
in
want people.
relationships?
Pardon me.
What about in relationships? So I feel,
You mean primary relationships?
yeah, like, so in the straight world, which
Uh-huh.
I feel comfortable speaking to, it's okay for a man of, say, 44 to be dating a 24-year-old. That's
Yeah.
okay. But
Yeah.
it's not okay for a 44-year-old woman to be dating a 24-year-old man. That's,
A cougar. A cougar. It's
yeah,
called.
that's taboo and no.
Yeah.
You know, when I look into the LGBTQ plus world, I don't really see that same level of taboo. It's,
No,
it's gentler.
it's Hayley. It's sexism in the heterosexual world. I would be so angry as a heterosexual woman that I was stuck in this syndrome of people telling me what I could or couldn't do because of my gender. You're right. In gay male relationships, lesbian relationships, transgender, the age doesn't often matter. You know,
Mm.
I found myself more attracted to older men than younger. I wasn't attracted so much to people my age. I ended up marrying somebody 3 years younger, right? The only challenge that comes in that I have seen when somebody is 15 years older or more than their partner is that their partner is young and wants to do things, right? Let's go out, let's go drinking, let's go partying, and the older one says, let's go to bed.
It's 9 o'clock. Let's wrap this up.
I'm so tired. So they have to work that out themselves.
There's the one relationship, and for some reason, the names are just going past me, but they're a lesbian couple, and I think they have almost like a 30-year age gap.
Huh?
I don't remember.
A famous lesbian couple?
Yeah, they're actresses.
Oh, okay. So
they're super cute.
It's not Ellen DeGeneres.
No. I don't know, but they're super cute. They have like a 30-year age gap, and
yeah.
You know, I keep seeing like sort of, because the media, the straight media, is very obviously pointed to one way, being like every time they mention them, their age is mentioned, and then the age gap.
Yeah.
And it's just, when you look at it from a different perspective of very much the LGBTQ world, they don't even mention their ages. They don't even mention the age gap. They're just celebrating that these two people have come together. And
there is suspicion that comes into people's minds that money is a motivator, right? Yeah. That if the younger person doesn't come from money and the older person does come from money, that money might be motivating the younger person. That's a suspicion.
Yeah.
I would assume it's generally not true, but even if it's true, that's the business of the couple and no one else. The older person is not unaware that this might be, a part of what's going on. But if he or she decides, I don't care, I really love the company of this person, I don't care if that's why they're in love with me, because I'm not going to think about it. We're going to go to a movie, or we're going to go to wherever on a trip together.
And it's the connection that is valued.
It's the what, honey?
The connection.
The connection, yes. Yeah. Being able to talk to somebody over the breakfast table.
Yeah. And having a giggle and
yes.
Time together is very soft. I think the couple that I was thinking about is like Holland Taylor, and I don't remember her partner's name.
Okay. I love Holland Taylor.
I love them too. I think they're almost like, I was talking with my friend the other day. We have this like massive interest in the Olsen twins. And I feel like they're in that same like spectrum where you just want to look at them and be like, this is golden.
Yeah.
What is going on here? In such a positive way, though.
Well, we often look at people that we've known growing up and measure ourselves against them, right? Like, I can't believe he looks that old. He used to be the person I had a crush on, and now look at him. And or I can't believe he looks as good as he does, right, at that age. And then you say, okay, time to go look in the mirror and see how much you've changed, right? Because there are a lot of people who do not know me without gray hair. It's just I've always had gray hair for them, but for most of my life I didn't. And for the people I knew and played with, in that part of my life, they will be shocked, to see the gray hair if I haven't seen them for a long, long time.
And, the gray hair is such a beautiful thing too. I have a wonderful friend, she's 34 and she's graying.
Yeah.
We kind of sit together and I'm like, I feel like we've got different bodies going on here.
Yeah. We have a nephew who's had gray hair since he was in his 30s. During COVID, one of the things that I would do is encourage the women friends that I knew to not try to color their hair. They couldn't go into a parlor anyway. I said, let it go gray. Gray is a beautiful color. I think women feeling the need to dye their hair is another element of sexism, right? That it's this burden to be beautiful. If the woman chooses it, that's her business.
I think it's this goes with a question that one of my friends asked me, which was, why do women change themselves up after a breakup? They cut their hair, they dye their hair, they do something with their look to kind of get over the breakup.
Huh.
And I can see how that mystifies men. But as a girl, I think there is obviously that element of, and I would love to get into this next, that element of the burden of trying to look a certain way, which we feel will equal love or equal acceptance. But there's also this wonderful way of using things to freshen up and really spark your energy. And
Uh-huh.
changing one's hair is one of the easiest ways to do that. And sometimes it doesn't need to be changing your hair, it just needs to go wash your hair and you'll feel
Uh-huh.
different afterwards.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that there's that element there where, I color my hair just because I feel more me when
Mm-hmm.
this color. But when it gets to sort of the winter colors, that's where I feel like the devil kind of coming out and like kind of being like, that shocks some people.
Yes.
So for
Yes.
me, it's almost one of those things that are fun. And I have some wonderful friends that do amazing things with their hair color where I'm just like, I can't believe that this is where technology is, that we can do this with hair. That being said, it shocks me when I see people working out in a gym, women working out in a gym with a corset on.
Huh.
And for me, I'm like, oh my God, women's suffrage. We did so much fighting to get rid of those corsets. And here we are, and now there's this whole new wave of get yourself a corset, make your waist look skinnier.
Why, Hayley? Tell me why.
I think it's media. It all starts in the media. It all starts with one person doing it and saying, this is what I do, the media picking up on it and proclaiming that this is beauty or this person looks really good. And then everybody's like, oh, so that's what looks good. I need to fit into that. Then I'll look good. And then people will want to be with me. I find it incredibly scary and heartbreaking. And I also find it inauthentic.
One of the things I think we're also seeing, do you remember the movie in which Kathy Bates took off all her clothes and got in the hot tub, and people were just so startled that she
Yeah.
had the courage to show this body, with the fat that she had on it.
Mm-hmm.
I loved that. I thought, good for you,
Yeah, that courage, man.
and I think that there's more of that now. All these movies about the book club and the second book club and all the Lily Tomlin and Jane Fonda, movies and TV shows. I think that's offering more permission.
I think so too.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there's like these two waves kind of moving together where on one hand it's very sort of acceptance and the very authentic, this is me, and you start prioritizing that this is me, if you don't like it, carry on. I also very much see an equally strong stream of the corsets, the eyelashes, the Botox, the lip injections, the butt lifts. Most of the woman's workout kit now is all about lifting the butt.
Mm-hmm.
And it's, try and find a pair of workout pants that don't have some kind of shaping around the butt.
Is that right?
Yeah. And I think it's the hair extensions too are a big part of that. And it's also, hair extensions are a big part of a culture. But I look at that and the people that are doing it, they're not happy.
They aren't people that you would necessarily want to be buddies with because they're on a different vibration than you are.
It's just a different vibration. And it's just, for me, it's incredibly inauthentic. And I say inauthentic, not in a gossipy, like you're no good, but it hurts my heart because they will talk about being positive, being, boss babes and women rule the world. And I just want to have a real relationship with the real guy that will see me for who I am. But if you're not presenting who you are, you're not going to get as somebody that sees that.
Yeah, what happens if you keep doing stuff to yourself to make yourself, the Botox injections, etc., and then they suddenly start to droop, and your husband says, "What, wow,
What is this?"
you look different than when we first got in bed." I mean,
like last night, today.
yeah, that's one of the risks you run. I've been pretty lean my whole life, and in my 70s started to develop a stomach. Now, it's not huge. You're not going to say, "Oh my God, I can't believe how much weight he gained." But I became self-conscious of it. And then I thought, now, first of all, why? Ray's stomach is bigger than yours.
You've got a way to go still. Enjoy that ice cream.
So I'm still within the parameters. But what do you want to cut out? What do you want to cut out? Are you going to give up your cookies? You're going to give up your ice cream? For what?
What?
For what? So if Ray dies, somebody's going to find me attractive? So what? And I love the way that Ray is completely not self-conscious of things like that. He is a smooth sailor, easy Eddie. And that inspires me to, well, then why are you nitpicking, yourself? Just accept, who and what you are, and that your body's going to change. I wrote that I wrote about the potbelly fairy who sneaks in the middle of the night with old people, and then they wake up and say, "Where did that come from?"
I think it goes both ways too, because I work with a lot of young women that are very body conscious. And they're, a lot of the times they're like, "I'm trying to eat right, I'm working out a whole lot, but it's just not changing anything." And, I have to remind them that every day it doesn't seem like a whole lot of change. But then you're going to wake up one morning and you're going to be like, something's changed.
And I'd want to know why. I would want to know, Hayley, tell me what the motivation here is. You want to change, but tell me why.
99% of the motivation is because they're comparing themselves to what the media says is beautiful right now.
Yeah.
And it's a vicious circle, because obviously a lot of that is airbrushed and manufactured in a studio. It's unattainable just from that perspective. There's also, they have a lot of time and money to be working out 3 hours a day, and then having a nutritionist, and then having the best makeup artists and all that kind of stuff. But what we're not talking about is when you're comparing yourself to other people, you're creating anxiety. You don't feel good because that's anxiety. When you're in anxiety, your sympathetic nervous system is off the charts high. And when we're in the sympathetic nervous system, we create cortisol. You put on weight. You can't lose weight when your cortisol is high. So
worry creates weight?
Worry creates weight. In the bulk of people, worry creates weight. In a certain small amount of people, they will lose weight.
Yeah. With men, Hayley, like whoever is going to be on the cover of Men's Health, or whoever is going to be taking off their shirt in a movie, these guys have to work out all week for months to get that look. And everyone loves the look. They take off the t-shirt and people say, "Oh, doesn't he have a great body?" Once the movie's over with, I am not going to the gym this week. I'm so tired,
You
of
know,
being yelled at.
I
Go
now
ahead.
work out roughly an hour and a half a day. 5 days out of the week, I work out. I wake up at 4:55 to be at the gym by 6, and
Oh,
work out until 7:38. And I've been doing that for a year, and I can tell the results now. People, like, when I'm in the gym, people are like, your back is amazing, your arms are amazing, your butt is amazing. Oh my God, you have the V. And to me, I'm still in that place of like, yeah, but really let me tell you how strong I feel. But I see people in the gym working out, and a lot of effort goes into those bodies. And, you know, they take great pride in their bodies because they've put a lot of effort into them. And I think that that's valid pride. I also acknowledge that it's a very thin line into egotistical, like, look how good I am.
and Hayley, so doesn't this set you up though for disappointment if somebody doesn't notice and doesn't say how good you look? I'm not talking about you personally, and I'm not asking.
Well, I'll answer that personally, but I think let's talk about that generally too. Personally, for me, my standards for myself are always so much higher than other people. So even if people at the gym are saying that my back looks good, I'm still saying, well, I wish my legs were more defined. I
Okay.
work harder on my legs. I think, I was talking about that very fine line where you can be in a place of taking a photo of your body and being able to be like, look at my hard work, like I'm seeing the results, I'm celebrating the results. And then there's that fine line of, okay, now I'm seeking the validation of, now you look good. And I think that absolutely happens a lot. Like, I think it's almost this progression of, you start seeing results, then you start getting addicted to the results, then you start getting addicted to everybody talking about your results.
Yes, and afraid to lose ground.
And afraid, that's a real thing where people now start becoming afraid of missing a gym day or not being able to have enough weight that day. And to me, that's where it's, everything in moderation, everything has its opposites. So yes, go to the gym. Yes, go be healthy, but be careful of that line. And that line exists in absolutely everything we do. It's the same, that line exists in writing books. You could completely lose yourself in this process of writing your memoir.
Yes.
And really worry about, like, what are people going to think? Let me take that out. No, I'm going to put it back in. No, let me take it out.
Yeah.
That's that same line.
Yeah. One of the things I am grateful that I have a mindset that isn't worried, because first of all, there's no guarantee the book is going to get picked up by a major publisher. It may be a self-published Amazon book and sit in the Amazon graveyard forever, but it doesn't matter to me. I'm glad to be writing it, and there are some wonderful stories that are uplifting to tell, but there's some tough stuff too.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I've told you this story, but years and years and years ago, when I was one of the few openly gay people that people were aware of in the media, and I had a syndicated column in the gay press. And only once in my life did I go to a bathhouse, a gay bathhouse.
Mm-hmm.
And I was in the locker room, and when I took off my clothes, there were two guys over by the locker, and they looked over because they recognized the face. And one said to the other, "He doesn't have a body." And of course, I felt shame, that, and then I went home and I thought, I have a body. I have toes and feet and legs and knees, and I have everything that a body has. I may not have your body, the body you want,
Mm-hmm.
right? And there are lots of times people want to bring you down a peg, right? And they use your body or your appearance to bring you down a peg.
Yeah.
Because they can't do it in any other area. They
And it
look
makes
for the
them
weak point.
feel better. If
Yeah,
they can find something wrong with you, it takes the spotlight off them. They're no longer talking about what's wrong with them. It's, oh, well, you're just impossible, so it's your fault.
yes, yes. They feel better about themselves
Yeah.
if they think I don't feel as well about myself.
Yeah. And if they can point out a flaw in somebody else, then it almost like evens out the tables. They're like, right, now we're all bad.
Right. And I think, Hayley, it gets easier as you get older, because you have permission to step back and not socialize if you don't want to, you know, take a nap, you know, get a little pot belly, and have your own life, and you don't care. You know,
You know,
if
this is,
friends don't want to be friends because of your hair color or because of your arms are skinny. I have the skinniest arms. I swear to God, if they put handcuffs on me, I could slip out
slip
because
out.
my arms are so skinny.
Maybe that's your new skill.
Yeah, maybe I
Houdini.
should be a magician, you know. But it's wonderful to get to the point where you don't care and that you just love your body and you love your life.
I think for me, being in Mexico allows me to enjoy that on a different level, because here the culture very much is slow down. What are you rushing for?
Uh-huh.
And experience sort of the US and now the Mexican culture. And the Mexican culture is very much like, just take a nap, just rest. My friend was talking about this. She's from London, I'm New York. And we were talking about how we feel. You know, we've been out of the US like 3 years. I've been out of the US 3 years. She's been out of England for 3 years too. And we were talking about how we still struggle with, I can't rest, I have to do something, or I have to be productive. Whereas here in Mexico, they actively encourage rest. Like you will hear far more during the day, have you rested? Are you going to rest?
Siesta.
And descanso. Descanso, you will hear all day, every day. Estoy descanso, muy cansado. They're all talking about, I'm going to rest or I will be resting.
Huh?
And it's a very interesting change in the culture because it allows that slowdown of just be versus do.
Does it scare you at all to start getting absorbed in that culture and think, what's going to happen when I leave here? You know, am I going to go back to no rest? You know,
Yes.
do.
Yes.
Do.
Yes, I'm definitely becoming less American. I don't know if I'm becoming more Mexican, because I think there's a lot that goes into becoming more Mexican. Specifically, you got to get the language and the lingo down. But I notice that the more time that I'm out of the US, the more loud the US is. The more materialistically driven it is. And it's not that I'm judgmental of it, it's just louder, if that makes sense.
And it's not judgmental in terms of, you know, you're doing something wrong. It's more, I'm now aware of things that I really wasn't aware of before.
Really wasn't. And you know, my definition of success and my definition of a good life has shifted night and day. So for me, I'm super comfortable if I have enough money to afford food and I'm comfortable. Like if I want to do something, I've got the money there to do it.
Uh-huh.
I don't have to worry about a car. I don't have to worry about insurance. I don't have to worry about all of these other things. And one of the things that has become really obvious in 2023 for me is I have no desire to leave. I'm very comfortable in my bubble and I have no desire to travel. Whereas when I lived in the US, travel was a symbol of success.
Yes.
If you have a good job and if you're living a good life, then you can experience other countries and you can travel.
We get a Vikings river cruise brochure almost every day, you know, and we know lots of people whose vacation is going to be on a river cruise because that's the big thing. I mean, Ray and I wouldn't mind doing that, but we've seen so much of the world already that we know that seeing one more church isn't going to change us.
Right.
We've had those experiences. Now it's time for something else. You know what I do envy you though too, besides the things you said, is that you rent. So you don't have to pay mortgage, right? You don't have to pay
No,
house insurance. Yeah, you're pretty free.
and you know, that's by design. I
Yeah.
purposely wanted it that way. And when I decided to change my life, and I wrote this in a journal in a coffee shop on the Upper East Side, I want to live and work from wherever I want in the world. So I need to be free. I don't want to have anything tying me down, because one of the things I resented the most about living in the US was, if I didn't have to have this apartment, then I could go. If I didn't have the car, then I could do these things. If I didn't have all of these payments, then I could do the things I wanted to do.
Yeah.
It was a very conscious, by design choice that I now live very minimalistically.
And you don't need a lot. I noticed that you don't need a lot of things around you to feel happy, that
No.
you can be minimalist in your possessions.
I have a few things that I travel with, and they're my home. They're my things that whenever I change homes, they're the first things that are put out, and then I'm like, okay, now I'm home. But those, I mean, they could probably fit in a shoebox. And there's a blanket.
Yeah, you told, when you moved before, you said it all fit in a suitcase.
Yeah. I have two suitcases, and everything fits in two suitcases.
Yeah.
And
running to catch the train, I think you were talking about, with your two suitcases. And that was the end of your life there.
Yeah.
Everything you were taking with you.
Yeah. And it's, for me, that's now my definition of success. It's like, how quickly can you pack up and get going if you need to get going, or if you want to get going? And I can do it in 2 hours. I can be ready to go in 2 hours.
Yep.
And it's, it also brings these wonderful things, because it allowed me to find the place that I'm living in now, which is like fully furnished. All of the linens are provided. Everything's here. And it's because I choose to travel with two suitcases.
Yep.
If I chose another way, then I would have to be constantly trying to furnish everywhere I go.
Yes, that's great, Hayley. It's again, it's very freeing. Now, and you may have this attitude your whole life. You don't know,
I don't know. And I realize, that is, I don't know if you're aware of the memes and sort of the trends, but there's one which is like my toxic trait. And people sort of joyfully point out, like, my toxic trait is I'm at home in my pajamas by 7 o'clock every night. And for me, sort of, I kind of say that my toxic trait is I don't know where I'm going to be in 3 months. So I can understand how some people could be pushed away by that and not wanting to invest in me, because when they're asking, will you invest in me? I'm like, yeah, I'll invest in you as long as I'm here.
Right.
I can understand that that's unnerving.
Yes. Now, so if you met somebody, Hayley, who you fell in love with, but who was not a minimalist and who wanted to stay put, would that make a difference?
I think I would like to be open-minded. I have thought about this. I would like to be open-minded. I don't know, like, one of the things I'm not entirely sure of is if I can live with somebody again. I feel like I'm still going to need my place.
Yep.
So there's that in it. I'm 100% open to allowing life to lead the way. And if there's a person that is anchored in a place and that person compliments me, I'm more than happy to stay there as long as it's healthy and as long as it's growing.
Yeah, growing is
There's going to be times where I'm going to be like, listen, I got to go. I'll be back next week.
Growing was the criteria that Ray and I had when we first got together, is that we would stay together as long as we both were growing.
Yeah.
And you have to, the challenge there is that it's important that you both be growing. Now, you don't have to grow into the same outfit, but you're growing towards the same values. I think that's
Right.
really important.
And you're supporting each other in that growth.
Yes.
It's not always going to be easy, and there's going to be the fights and stuff, but ultimately you're still trying to move in the same direction. And, you know, sort of going back to the stereotypical age thing, when I meet somebody, I could create a list of all of the reasons why I shouldn't or it couldn't.
Uh-huh.
Age is always in there because most of the guys that come towards me are way younger than me because they're thinking I'm 5 years older than them or 10 years older than them. You know, I live in a country where not everybody's an investment banker. I live in a country where the culture is that they stay in the family home until somebody gets married. I live in a culture where, you know, not everybody has a car, but everybody has a motorbike. So, you know, that whole idea of you need to marry somebody that's of the same culture, that looks like you, that's within an age range, that can support you, that you speak the same language, very much falls away the more that I found myself outside of the US. And right now, and I think it's part of the maturity too, right now, the only criteria is you have to be a good person. You have to be a good person.
Yeah, that be grateful, right? Be loving and kind, and
Honest.
you can live anywhere
Yeah.
and fit in, because that's the human soul.
Yeah.
Right?
And I
All the
demand
rest.
that of anybody that comes into my life, whether it's a friend or a potential partner. Like, you have to be a good person. The one thing that we have to agree on is these are the good qualities that I'm trying to be and that I want in other people.
Yeah.
Anything else is just, from my perspective, an excuse. I can understand how it makes things a little bit more difficult or challenging. It's not a deal breaker.
And as soon as you felt somebody trying to change you, that would, I think, be a deal changer also, because
I'm trying to change them.
yeah, but I don't want them to try to change you.
No, no, sir. I definitely see that more in myself as I become more comfortable in my space and my world, is that, you know, coming down to how we started this call, the authenticity, and how I prioritize my authenticity now. I'm okay if you're shocked by my age. I can't do anything about that, so.
Right.
It's your decision.
I never led you to believe that I was younger.
Yeah.
You
And
know,
if
you
that's
may.
something that shocks you, or you now have a list of things of why it's good or why it's bad, carry on.
Right.
Don't bring it into my world.
Don't, because I didn't ask for it.
Yeah. And it's just not the way that, you know, the authenticity. And I know we only have a few minutes left, and maybe this will be a good conversation for the next call. You know, the hero's journey has a lot of aspects to it. You know, there's the understanding of self, there's the understanding of the shadow, there's the acceptance, and there's the authenticity. And all of these things are different but the same. And I think as you become more comfortable with the hero's journey, the more comfortable that you become with growth and how you experience growth, you start to really prioritize and no longer compromise a few key things. And I think, you know, one of them is the authenticity, the courage to be able to stand up and say, there's an angel and there's a devil, and my life reflects this.
I'd be interested in talking with you, and I know we're out of time, maybe in 2 weeks, about the shadow. You know, you're talking about the shadow being there in the hero's journey. I'd like to learn more. I'm aware, you know, that I believe it's Jungian, you know, and and they talked about it when I went through the Mankind Project, but I'm not sure I completely understand the shadow.
The shadow.
Yeah.
It's the devil.
It's the things you're afraid of.
It's the things that make us afraid and turn us into reactory versus creation.
Okay.
Things that we're afraid of that we now tend to say, well, I'm just going to do this on my own. The shadow is the fearful side of us that creates the separation. That moves us into that place of distrust and I'm going to listen to these other people versus myself.
Right. And the hero's journey really is about making decisions on your own based upon your experiences. Yeah.
Integrating that.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, another lovely conversation. I can't believe they go so quickly.
They do go quickly. They do go. So I'm going to find the post of our last conversation and get it up there. And I'll send you a little description of this one.
Lovely. And we'll see each other in 2 weeks.
Yeah, I look forward to it.
I do too. Lots of love to you.
Thank you, Hayley.
Bye.
Love you. Bye-bye.